My name is Marco De Leon, and this is my story. I trembled the entire time. I didn't know how to stop. Once again, it felt like I was being called into the principal's office, and I had no idea what kind of trouble I'd put myself in this time. When I walked into the pool, the water was freezing, filled with bursts of chlorine and questions. I don't think the water was really that cold, but my anxiety mixed with the emotions of my new faith didn't help either. I closed my eyes as he spoke. He leaned me back, and when I surfaced, it all happened. Elementary and parks. I think I was about 6 or 7 when I first began to sin, but these sins were amateur, minor stupidities. They were all about who broke what, how I was a Power Ranger, and my all-time favorite was lying, I promise. Yes, everything revolved around lies, and believe me when I tell you that lies are blissful rescues, beautiful rescues. Everyone did them, from lying for your friend to their girlfriend, to that story about how you took on 3 guys and a dog and came out without a scratch. I was brilliant. Junior high. Junior high was stupid. I don't think it has meaning. Junior high is the practice field for sin. This is where you're supposed to take hold of the gift of sin. But if you were stupid and did wrong in public, then you'd get in trouble. I don't see why the need for discipline was even there. And the amount of time it took to punish or discipline a student, twice the trouble would be taking place as they put the pen to the paper. But it happened. STAR stood for Student Transition and Recovery. STAR was like Marine boot camp for the prepubescent. I was there because I lied for liars, fought the fights, and perfected the art of stealing. It was easy, and all you had to do was figure out the other person's rhythm. Once you've picked up someone else's rhythm, you get to conduct. High school. High school was pure genius. I give my respect to whoever invented high school. High school was the place for music, girls, lies, theft, drugs, music, and girls. It was ridiculous but unique. This is the place where you conform to the rebel you feel you ought to be, and at the end of your 4-year term, you realize you're one big poser. High school was the Eden for revolution's rebellion. This meant that parents were wrong and you, behind the midst of it all, were right when it came to the discussion you had with your teacher who had a PhD. There's no such thing as ethnicity in high school, only segregation. But it was so vivid no one cared. And no matter what year it is, no matter what century we're in, Metallica, Pantera, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and the Beatles will always dominate on influence. Those guys simply will not die. Everyone, no matter what fad, trend, word, or gesture was popular that year, will know who these bands are. The girl that dressed herself up every single day knew about them. The boy who sat with books and studied 8 hours a day knew about them. And the guys who were out by the tennis courts with a bottle in one hand, a joint in the other, and all the solutions to the world's problems on their lips knew about them. Music held no illusion, and it left the possibility of everything. In the midst of my music, I had my relief, wrestling. The sport of wrestling separates you from the norm because no one understands why you put yourself through it. Wrestling was a sport that made you want to quit every day, and that was the reason we came back every day. I won matches, but football held the crowds, the screams, and the beers. But wrestling wasn't supposed to be easy. There's no such thing as being hurt or injured. Pain was a word used in books, not a feeling used on the mat. It doesn't win matches, coach said. Somewhere between the loud music and the raising of the arms after matches, girls were there. It was there that I learned how to break their hearts after I stole them. Being good with words really raises your chances. College was a garden of drugs with a playground of deceit. Notice, playground, meaning training is over. The ground is set for play, and the only sensible way to live is if you have no rules. I will admit, booze and weed never impressed me, so they never became my scene. I always thought drunks and stoners looked stupid anyway, but apparently some girls went for that. Weed was the new symbol for this generation's James Dean look. Instead of having a box of Lucky Strike cigarettes rolled up in their sleeves, they have a plastic bag with grass in their pocket. Grass gave you wings, tobacco just gave you dreams. My poisons were Arnold's, juice, performance enhancers, steroids. It's a better lifestyle, I thought. Well, a selfish one. Steroids made you into the superhero you wish you had always been. They gave you respect and your space. No one ever wanted to talk to the guy who looked mad. Suddenly you became someone. Booze took too long to kick in, and you could smell if someone had too much. Weed was too expensive, and it smelled terrible. Steroids were perfect. And if you got big enough, you could just take the booze and the weed instead of buying it. Hand in hand with robbery, steroids were the flower in my garden and the thorn in my rose. This is where depression began to sink in, but I fought it off. More college, steroids and violence. College part 2, steroids and hitting rock bottom. Life wasn't as funny anymore. I lost the girl I cared about, the friends I trusted to get me drunk, and I listened to the faithful and true lies. Nothing really ever went my way after here. College Part 3. Jesus. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not associate with them, for at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Ephesians 5:6-8. Sin is like two things, the darkness and like a clock. It's like darkness because you can never see through it. So if you can't see through it, what makes you think you can control it? It's like a clock because when you're drowning in your sin, you're always moving, but you're never going anywhere. When you've accepted Jesus, everything becomes clear as day. Truth is your light, and it smashes the dark. When you've come to Christ, there's now true purpose. You're given a new heart, a new mind, and new desires. Here's an example. I'm in a church, and I go to Bible study. I love everyone who reads or hears this. I used to make fun of those in a church or who liked Bible study. To me, the Bible was a book of great literature with a bunch of dead guys who could write. But truth is light, and it is so alive. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. As I was standing in the water, my body trembled so much. I thought I was in the middle of some sort of twilight. I work as a pool manager. This water is no different, I kept telling myself. Pastor Tom leaned me back and submerged me. When I surfaced, it all hit me. Christ is awesome, and I love him. Why? Because when they come for me now, I'll have him at my side. We must fight the good fight of faith. 1 Timothy 6:12. When you surface from that water, you'll feel a change and everyone will see it. If you were never a fighter before, I promise you, that'll change too. My name is Marco De Leon, and I'm a follower of Jesus.